Hey, welcome everybody. It's Monday morning and I'm feeling it from the weekend. This is Emotionally Intelligent Living Straight Talk with Steve, and I want to focus today on making better decisions, which I probably should have done yesterday. Let me explain that. Every Sunday afternoon, I try to get together with a group of guys from church and play golf, and I love playing golf with those guys. Um, the decision making here should have come in when I realized there was a heat advisory. I do live in the Dallas area, and I think it was feels like 107 or 108. And I don't know what the deal is. I could handle the heat better when I was younger, but it seems like at this point in my life, I'm not handling the heat as well as I used to. But it made me think about this making better decisions topic. And whether it's making a decision about playing golf on a hot afternoon, or whether it's a critical decision at work, or a decision about relationships, whatever it is, I think we have to understand how the decision making process happens. Everything that we experience is filtered first through our emotional system in our brain, the limbic system in our brain. So before we ever get to the prefrontal cortex up here, where we do our higher level rational thinking and focus, which takes a lot of energy, we process through emotion. Now, I'm sure you've been in situations before where your survival brain kicks in. So you have a really strong emotion of some kind, fear, danger, whatever it is, and it's fight, flight, freeze, right? I'm talking a little bit more uh, focused around regular decisions than that survival brain kind of decision making. By the way, I have never seen fight, flight, freeze work very well in the workplace or at home much. I mean, unless you're really truly in danger, it's there for a reason, and that's good. But we get so locked in to a certain routine and a certain set of habits and how we respond, what we call patterns that become habits, that sometimes we just run on autopilot. I just finished a LinkedIn Live last week about your success map, your patterns and your habits. And it's really important because 40 to 90% of our daily decisions and our actions are based on habits which have very little thought involved in those. And that is a big part of decision making. So many times, so for instance, yesterday, I always play golf Sunday afternoon unless the weather's bad. So I just figured, yeah, no problem, right? Right up until the point that I got to about the sixth hole and go, please God, send some clouds because this is miserable out here. And thankfully he did. And thankfully it got cooler, significantly cooler, and a breeze came up. And talk about answered prayer. I needed that in that moment. Because I was really struggling physically. I couldn't focus very well. But here's the point of all of this. How do we make better decisions? First, we understand how decisions are made. So we experience something, a thought comes into our mind, or we need to make a decision. The first thing that happens is it processes emotionally before it processes rationally. And what our best decisions are going to be made when we take both of those into account, but we don't let one completely take over the other. We balance those. We need to practice emotional intelligence as we practice rational intelligence. Because if you've ever said something like this, I just can't think straight, or I can't deal with that right now. What's happening is you're in an emotional cycle, And it may be warranted. I mean, you may have experienced something that creates a strong emotional cycle for you, and you can't think straight. It's why we tell people who have lost a loved one, don't make any big decisions right now. Sell the house, do this, do that, whatever it is. Wait until you're in a more balanced place where you can make your best decisions. And we can practice that on a daily basis. And I wish I had practiced that yesterday before I got out in that 107, 108 feels like heat. And I'm kind of putting a rule in place going forward that if there's going to be a heat advisory that day, I'm just going to have to bow out. Because here I'm feeling it the next day. I mean, I don't have the energy I normally have. So why am I coming to you today if I don't have my normal energy? Because I think it's important that we all realize we're all kind of living this journey together. We walk a lot of the same pathways, and part of this whole process is just if we can better understand ourselves, what we call self-awareness, a competency of emotional intelligence, how our emotions impact us, how the emotions of others impact us, what those emotions are. Can we identify and name those? And then self-regulation. What choices, what decisions do we make based on those emotions? And do we have good emotional practices we can put in place? Where else might this show up? Perfect example. If you want to buy a new car and you just get so excited and you got all these emotions around buying that new car, and it's all wonderful and great, and a new car smell. I mean, all of that stuff that we love, right? And then the reality of that is that a year down the road, we're making those payments or that lease or whatever it is, and we're going, yeah, it's okay, right? Now, I'm not saying you don't need a new car. Maybe you do. But the reality of this is, did we make our best decision at the time? Most of the time in buying decisions, 70% to up to 90, 95% of buying decisions are based on emotional drivers. And then we rationalize it with logic. Why did we buy this car? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? And I think it's important for us to understand that there's a process that goes on up here that drives our decision making. And that process very simply is that our decisions first pass through the emotional filters in our brain before they get to the rational, more logical filters or processes in our brain. So how can we make better decisions? Well, sometimes it's pause and think. Sometimes we snap off a decision and it's not the best decision. It's not something that we really want to do, or maybe we regret it later. So think about taking just a moment, maybe it's a couple of minutes before you make a decision. And especially if you're in that point where you're hungry, you're tired, you're frustrated, whatever it happens to be, when we're already experiencing emotions that are draining us, taking a lot of our focus and energy, it's more likely that we'll make a less than optimal decision than our very best decision. So think about that as you get ready to make decisions this week, next month, throughout the rest of the year. What decisions are going to align with your long-term goals, your long-term focus, the standards that you hold your decisions up to? I think that's an important part of good decision making as well. If we have a really good set of standards that we hold our decisions up to, we are less likely to make bad decisions. Um, I ran across a situation the other day where one of my clients, I do a lot of coaching, training, workshops, masterminds, those kinds of things. One of my clients the other day just got so tired of going through the hiring process for a key position in his company that he just made a hire. He was done. He was tired. He just had to get it done and move forward because he figured I'll fix it down the road. The problem is, I'm not sure that's going to fix down the road because I don't think that was the optimal hire. And sometimes we get there, though, don't we? We get to that point where we're just so frustrated and tired that we just make a decision to make a decision. And I understand that feeling. I've been there myself. I know what that feels like. But the reality is, we have to be better than that. And sometimes when we're not at our best self, we're not operating at our best self, that's when we need to take a little extra time and think through things a little bit more. Maybe it's step away from something for a while before you come back to it. But the key here is when we want to make better decisions, we have to first understand what emotional drivers are happening around that decision. Because if we understand that those emotional drivers are not productive, they're not really going to help us, maybe they're pushing us in a direction that we're probably not going to want to go, that should be a red flag to say, slow down, stop, maybe turn around, maybe do something different until you can make a better decision. However, if those emotional drivers are the right kind of drivers, that they're headed in a positive direction, they're going to be productive, it really starts to come together. I think one of the best ways I can explain this, for at least for myself, is to say, when I feel like things are aligning in a way that there is a multiplicity of benefits if I make this decision, meaning not just one or two benefits, but several different benefits that would come out of making this decision, that probably means it's a good decision. But if it's only going to solve one issue or one problem, and there aren't a lot of other benefits, and there seems to be a little bit of misalignment, that's, again, probably a red flag to say, probably shouldn't go that direction right now. So, and the other thing that I can tell you as far as making better decisions is give yourself enough time that you can feel like you have vetted the decision, not just emotionally, but rationally as well. That you have allowed those two to come together and create the best decision making brain possible for you. When that happens, you will make your best decisions and you'll make them more consistently. What do the best decisions look like? Well, they align with long-term goals. They provide some strategic advantage for you, for your team, for other people, whoever is involved in that process. And you have a piece about it. I think there is a part of this that basically says the lead and lag indicators of making a good decision are making sure there's alignment and that you're thinking through it correctly, that you're combining your emotional and rational brains in the right way. There's your lead indicators. Afterwards, you feel like you've got peace about it. You don't have buyer's remorse. It feels like things are moving the right direction. I realize I'm using a lot of feeling words, but that's the reality of our world and our lives. We process things through our emotional brain first. So just wanted to talk to you a little bit. I'm going to make better decisions about Sunday afternoon golf in the future, especially if there's a heat advisory. So I'm just encouraging you to make better decisions as well. And we can all do that. It's just about putting the right things in the right sequence so that we do make our very best decisions. Have a great week.